Hey everybody, 8-Bit Josh here, and welcome back to Aurora Park. Right, we're finally getting near the end of this dome. I feel like we've been working on this for several episodes, which I don't know. I guess it makes sense. Like, you know, each section of the park. I mean, this is only the third section, but the two previous sections we've worked on, they have been, you know, around like 8 to 10 episodes each, so I guess that makes sense. I think it just feels like, because everything is in a dome in this section, like, I don't know, like it feels like we probably could have gotten like everything in one dome completed in one episode, but there was a lot of detail that went into, especially this dome we're working on here. There's just like a ton of detail with like adding all the bushes and flowers and the fencing that goes along the path, and you know, just obviously the buildings themselves. So it's definitely like, I guess we're about on par, the same amount of episodes for this area as the previous two areas. It just, I don't know, maybe it's only me that I felt like it's been taking longer than normal, but I guess it really hasn't. But yeah, so the dome is pretty much complete. You can see I'm adding like the sort of like little base around the, you know, the bottom of the dome here, which I realized I forgot to do. I've been doing like so much of the interior of the dome that I forgot to do the little base that goes around the outside of it. So this episode we'll be doing, we'll finish up the base here, and then actually we'll finally add the glass to the dome, because that's been a long time coming. And yeah, so I'm like really happy with this whole area this whole area. It's Atropa Gardens as it's called. I just think it's really cool. I think it's been fun to, you know, this is a sci-fi park, but this section of the park is, you know, inside the dome is not sci-fi. So I think it's been really cool to have that sort of just different mix from the sci-fi outside of the dome to like the vintage looking theme park inside the dome. I think it turned out really cool. So here I'm just like kind of fixing up the grass on the inside of the dome, just making sure it goes as far to the edges, you know, as much as we can. Then I'm fixing the outside as well, just making sure that, you know, none of the grass is really kind of peeking out from around the dome, because, you know, I really wanted it to be like inside the dome is super green and lush, and outside is still that cold, snowy look. So I did there, and then here we do a little bit of work around these two little tunnels. It's actually one tunnel. They just have, you know, a separate like kind of little entrance exit, I guess. But I'm just sort of like rounding out, or like smoothing out the, I guess you call it a cave. Just making it look a little bit, I guess, nicer. And then, yeah, here just doing more of the fencing. I don't know why, for some reason with this fence, I was, you know, sometimes when you do like a copy for, you know, like when you have a bunch of items selected, it just, the like little move feature just works really weirdly, and I've never quite been able to figure it out. So, you know, sometimes it just takes a little finagling to get all the different scenery pieces to work out. And I eventually I was just like, I'm just gonna place each piece one by one, because it was a little easier to manipulate the pieces that way. I don't know why, I've never been able to figure it out. Like sometimes, like you can grab a piece, copy it, and like the direction arrow will face the same way that the original piece is. But sometimes if you grab two pieces and copy them together, the directional arrows will be like going in a completely different direction. But it doesn't always do that, and I've just never quite been able to figure out what it is that causes it to do that. So that's why here with this fence, I was just like, you know what, I'm just gonna place each piece individually, and because it was actually like ended up being quicker, honestly, placing each piece individually rather than trying to mess with like the rotations and making everything work out nicely. But I think that looks really cool. I like how the flowers look around the border of the path there. And then here I decided, I don't know if you saw a live stream, but in the other dome where the rest of the roller coaster is, I made this like little glass wall that kind of goes around the path. That's sort of meant to be like, you know, if this were a real park, you know, you'd want to have some sort of barrier between the roller coaster and the guests. And I took the same idea here, because we have the two, you know, the path that goes right by the roller coaster. So sort of, obviously this is a super unrealistic park, but trying to add a little bit of like, you know, if this were a real park, they would still want to have some sort of like, you know, safety, like, I don't know, just like they'd still want to have some sort of safety element there. And then here, just placing more of like the bushes and rocks and, you know, just trying to, you know, fill out the green space that's, you know, not really gonna, it's not gonna be used for anything else. There's, you know, the little bit of space between the building and the dome wall. So I just kind of loaded up on like bushes and flowers and threw, you know, a few trees in there. And I decided with this dome to add like these trees with like the fall colors, because I don't know, I thought it seemed different, and just makes them, I don't know, just makes the whole area look just a little bit different than like the other dome. Plus, you know, I want to take advantage of all the cool looking trees that are in the game, and the colored ones that, you know, the like the yellow and orange and like the dark red trees, like they just look so good and I wanted to use them. So that's what I did. And yeah, so just more like placing these like little clusters of bushes around. And then you'll see like I grab all these flowers here and I just kind of copy them over. And because, you know, the whole idea is like this section of the park is called Aurora Gardens. So I really, you know, one of the, I guess, things I wanted to do with this area is make it look very, very lush and green and floral, I don't know, whatever that word is. Lots of flowers is what I'm trying to go for there. Lots of flowers. And then again, just doing the same thing here, like right under the roller coaster. I just thought it, you know, looked really cool to have the roller coaster kind of going over like a little flower garden like that. So yeah, that's pretty much, you know, pretty much just what we're doing here. And then, you know, I mentioned before the other dome that I don't think we work on in this episode, but I did a live stream where we basically, I just built up the like little protection wall, and then I also threw in a bunch of trees and bushes and around the roller coaster and made it look like really nice. Oh, here is actually my first attempt at making custom roller coaster support, because I realized I turned supports off right here, and it actually, I was like, you know what, it actually looks kind of weird because it just looks like the coaster is floating. And they came out with these wonderful custom coaster supports that came with the vintage pack. I believe they're actually part of the free update that came along with the vintage pack, but I was like, you know what, I need a support here, so I made my own little custom support, and, you know, just made it look like it's, you know, going off the roof of the building. And I don't know, you know, just for my first attempt, I think it looks kind of cool. I was like, hey, you know what, I'm pretty happy with that. But what I was saying, or starting to say, is, oh, here I was like, you know what, I have these like little tunnel pieces sticking out. I was like, I realized they're just floating, so I just kind of made my own like little custom supports to make it, you know, make it look like they're not just floating there, I guess. So yeah, I have good news and maybe bad news. I don't know. Some good news and, you know, not so good news. But the good news is I reached affiliate on Twitch. So that's exciting. People can, you know, they can sub to my channel over there, and it's super exciting, and I'm really happy that that happened. The bad news is if you only watch me here on YouTube, and if you've ever watched any of my streams here on YouTube, I can no longer dual broadcast. So basically before, if you caught any of my like Saturday streams, I was always dual broadcasting on Twitch and YouTube. I can no longer do that because part of the affiliate agreement is that your broadcast is exclusive to Twitch for 24 hours. So I can't dual broadcast anymore. But that doesn't mean I'm gonna stop doing streams on YouTube. It'll probably be less frequent. I'm thinking right now. I'm thinking probably maybe like twice a month. I'll do a YouTube stream, and maybe we'll just play some, you know, Planet Coaster or, you know, whatever floats our boat at the time. But so yeah, if you've ever caught any of my streams here on my YouTube channel every Saturday, unfortunately I can't do those anymore, or at least I can't dual broadcast anymore. So if you aren't following me on Twitch, make sure you head over to my channel. It's just twitch.tv/8bit_Josh, and that link is always in the description of the video. So, you know, if you ever forget or you're like, hey, what is his channel? You can just look in the description and it's right down there. Yeah, and here we're just finishing off, kind of capping off the dome here. Got the glass installed and just kind of doing the same little, I guess, topper that we've done on the other domes, adding this little sci-fi piece, and then taking these lights, which it's kind of cool, these little lights that I did where I place them and then I just copy and rotate. This is actually the very first episode of Aurora Park. I made these, and I kind of use them throughout here or there through the park, so I don't know, it's kind of cool little throwback to the first episode. But yeah, so that's pretty much gonna wrap it up for this episode. Make sure you leave your comments, suggestions, and feedback down below. I am 8bit Josh, and thanks for watching. See ya.